Now, if you start reading from the Torah or from the Siddur in front of a Yemenite, it's very likely that within about 5 seconds he's going to rebuke you. What's closer to the authentic language and the pronunciation of things among everyone? Certainly it is the Yemenites. It's not everybody else. What's the deal? I've been having to go to Ashkenazi shul the past couple of months, and it really drives me nuts. The way they say sav instead of tav. What is the halachic take on this? Well, first off, if you're a Sephardi, go to a Sephardi shul. If you're Ashkenazi, go to Ashkenazi shul. Now, you cannot expect to go into a community that has a different custom than you and expect them to change. In fact, there's a Torah prohibition of lo titgodedu, for you to show off your customs at a different community. And so for example, if you're praying at a Ashkenazi shul, certainly in your Sephardi, certainly you pray with the Sephardi Siddur. You don't pray with Ashkenazi Siddur. But if you are, let's say, if you move into if you're Sephardi, and let's say you have a tradition to I don't know, do certain things, and you go into a Hasidic community, you can't show off your Sephardi customs and expect people to change and rebuke them for not doing so, because you're causing fights inside a community. So you can't do stuff like that. If you go to a community, you have to respect their customs and do not ask anybody to change for you. They were there before you. Now, on the other hand, if you have your community, let's just say yours is a Ashkenazi community or Sephardi community, and somebody from the outside comes to visit, and they are, they're different than you, you could certainly ask them to respect your customs because they're coming to you. They're coming to your community. But to go to a different community and expect them to change, it's a Torah violation. Now, as far as not liking the fact that many Ashkenazim pronounce words differently than Sfaradim, this is a long term situation. This is not something that started with you. There are some sages that even from Ashkenazim that say that the pronunciations in the world of Ashkenaz have a Masoret, but there are certain things that are incorrect, meaning that they're saying that the most authentic way are the Sephardi way of speaking. Now, of course, they're not going to change their ways because they already have their custom, but there are some Chachamim, Gdolei Ador from Ashkenaz, that actually went and learned by Sephardi Chachamim specifically to learn the way that the Sfaradim actually speak and their accent. Now, this did not happen on a massive scale or anything. This is a few, across throughout the generations. But again, there is a custom among the Ashkenazim that the taf is a sav, and the way that they write certain things, you don't have to like it, but you certainly do have to respect it. Why? It's their custom. Just like if you go into the Yemenite community, they're not going to agree with anything you say, whether you're Ashkenazi or you're a traditional Sephardi. Now, if you start reading from the Torah or from the Siddur in front of a Yemenite, it's very likely that within about 5 seconds he's going to rebuke you. 5 seconds, maybe 10, depending on how much derech eretz he has. Why? Because according to his tradition, you have no idea how to read. And I've met a few Yemenites that did that, and some of them I had no derech eretz, and would actually not just do it with individuals, but would do it with the Baal Koreh of the Torah, constantly telling them to correct something, which again, they were not in a Yemenite community, so it was not right for them to do so, and it would constantly ruin the Torah readers' fluid reading. It was very, very annoying. But nonetheless, if you look at the traditions, what's closer to the authentic language and the pronunciation of things among everyone, certainly it is the Yemenites. It's not everybody else. Everybody knows it's the Yemenites. Now, are most Jews, Sephardi or Ashkenazi, speaking like Yemenites? No. Even the Yemenites, many of them don't speak like Yemenites. Some of them do, obviously, but most of them don't. Most of them have become Americanized, Israelized, Europeanized, and so on. Now, this does not mean that this is you could just disregard it, or that something else takes over. Again, everybody could respect each other's customs. You don't like the way that the Ashkenazim speak? Fine. You don't have to like it, but you do have to respect it. If it bothers you, don't go there. Go to a Sephardi shul. You don't have one? Okay, so you should say thank you to the Ashkenazim that they do have a shul, and that they're letting you go there. Beggars can't be choosers. We can't start dictating to people how they should do everything when we just showed up. It doesn't work that way. If you just showed up to the company, you can't start telling the managers how to run the company. It doesn't work that way. Same thing that if you had an established company and some new employee came in and really the only thing that he's in charge of is the mailroom, if he starts telling you how to run the company, obviously you're not going to agree with him. Most likely he's not going to have a job by the end of the day. Now, it's even more so in Judaism. You can't go into a community that's already been established for 10, 20, 30 plus years and start telling them that they have to change the way they do things. The main thing that people need to learn is how to be a mivater, how to just let things go, not to make a big deal out of everything, and also find a way to get along. Many people tear each other apart. I was actually talking about this with somebody the other day. It's like I find people, especially people that are doing tshuva, they're on one hand, they're doing good things, they're doing tshuva, they're fixing themselves, they're starting to keep mitzvot, but unfortunately, for whatever reason or another, they tear other people apart. Like they judge everybody so harshly for everything that it's literally they cannot become friends or friendly with anybody over a long period of time. Because it's just a matter of time before somebody said something or did something that's not to their liking, and they judge them so harshly that it's literally that if they could give them a death penalty, they would. And that's just not the way. It's not the way to do things. You have to be more forgiving, and understand always that whether it's myself or any other person that's teaching Torah, when they're talking about judgment and rebuking and so on, remember, when you're speaking to the masses, it's different than when you're speaking to individuals. When you're dealing with the masses, it's different than dealing with the individual. As the Satmar Rebbe famously said, when Moshe Rabbeinu would speak to HaKadosh Baruch Hu about Am Yisrael, he would constantly plead for their case. But then when he would speak to Am Yisrael, he would rebuke them harshly. What's the difference? It's the same exact subject. Very simple. When he's speaking to Hashem, he already knows that Hashem knows what they did wrong. So he's defending them. He's defending them. But on the other hand, when he's speaking to Am Yisrael, he wants to warn them not to go against Hashem, or else Hashem will punish them. And he can't defend them forever. So he has to rebuke them harshly. Same concept. When you teach the public, when you're talking in general, certainly you have to speak strong. You have to tell the truth 100% from Aleph Ataf, from A to Z. L'havdil. Aleph Ataf at A to Z. But when you're dealing with individuals, you have to be a little softer. You have to be a little bit more forgiving. You can't just tear people apart just because they had a bad day, or they said something wrong, or they were not considerate. Many times people ruin really good friendships or relationships with people for stupid things, and they literally become like a person that's like lives on an island. And listen, most people can't do that. Most people need friends. Most people need relationships. but it's a problem when they ruin every relationship they have. And it's not because of the other people, it's because they themselves judge everybody else, but they forget to judge themselves. The truth is that if the people that are so judgmental of others start judging themselves, they'll see that they're more guilty than many of the people that they accuse. So be more forgiving, more accepting. And again, I'm not saying more accepting and more forgiving to discount the Torah and to nullify the Torah, chas v'shalom, and to go against the Torah. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is on general things. If somebody makes a mistake, forgive. If somebody has a mishap, forgive. It's okay. Don't be so firm with everybody to the point where no one is allowed to look up because they have to look down when you're around. It's not a good thing. It's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be good for your family, and it's certainly not going to be good for your life. And if you're going into a community that has different traditions than you do, then all you should do is be grateful. If you don't like it, don't go. Simple. Don't go. But if you're there and they're hosting you, by all means, you should thank them for every second that you're there. Strong lectures, similar and different to the one that you heard tonight, that are simply full of sources, honesty that's brutal, but is effective. Tikkun Abrit, it helped countless people get closer to Hashem, because for the first time in their life, they heard that there are serious ramifications for their bad actions, whatever those bad actions are.